Welcome to the DevReady podcast. Joining me on the DevReady podcast today is Gareth Ryden from Friday. Welcome again, Gareth.
Morning, Anthony, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday. For those of you tuning in for the first time, either live as our first LinkedIn live stream that we're doing, or via the podcast itself, this is a monthly recap that Gareth and I just talk about what we've seen in the AI space over the past month since our last episode, what we've experienced, and just a general chat about everything that's going on.
And I do find them quite almost therapeutic, Anthony. I always come away buzzing, and I was, even yesterday, I was getting quite excited. And I share my excitement with my wife, who's a non-technical person. I was like, I'm going to talk about this and this. And she was like, sounds great. Great. But I just love these chats.
My wife's not a fan of my AI rants either.
Well, we've got each other now, which is good.
Yeah, it's good. I talk to normally internally couple of the key people, and then I try and share those weekly updates with everyone in the team. But then I don't have, this is another good outlet because then I learn you've got a different focus on the AI compared to where I'm focusing. I'm very low level technical. You're more the operations business side.
Yeah, definitely. I try to, I think where the space we're playing is trying to make it more approachable to people and translate some of that more deep stuff to sort of an average business owner.
Yep. And it's hard to keep up. In saying that, what are some of the key things that you think have happened since we last spoke?
So one thing top of my list I wanted to talk to you about was the release of ChatGPT 03 Pro.
Yep.
Have you spent any time playing with it?
I have. And last week I upgraded to the $200 a month plan on ChatGPT. I pulled the trigger because I was running out of deep research tasks.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah, I still haven't tried Perplexity's research and what they're doing, but everything is in ChatGPT. And I don't want to start building that knowledge again because then I'm not sure. I haven't tried it, but from what I'm seeing, what I'm getting out of ChatGPT, the deep research, has been amazing. And the 03 Pro gives you really, really detailed responses, and it takes a long time.
Yes, I think I went nuts on 03 Pro, and unfortunately, I've run out of credits till July to use it, or tokens. Mm-hmm. What blew me away was, so I was using 03, so in that model selection, shifting from 4.0, then 03, and then 03 Pro. For me, as a non-technical person, the thing that really blew me away the last couple of weeks is the ability for 03 Pro to really execute tasks all the way through. So I've noticed this subtle change from 4.0, where give me a good answer, give me some step-by-step things that then I need to go and do. And then I went to 03, which does a bit more thinking, and it suggests what it might do. And it would say, do you want me to execute on this task? 03 Pro, I played with it over the weekend, and from a standing start, an idea that I had around for my cycling training, a sort of a coach, it coded, built, launched an end-to-end solution for me, and synced with, like, through API calls, actually using itself, and for me, like, built the interface. But for me, it was amazing because it was basically almost it's replacing Lovable for me, even in that sense.
Oh, well, okay.
But
you then have to host and manage everything yourself. So
it stepped me through that as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it would know all of it.
Exactly. And I think, and I noticed I was following a little bit of the content that came out from OpenAI about the use of 03 Pro. Specifically, what I find really interesting is I look at how they describe the different way to prompt the different models. So back from a traditional GPT-3 and GPT-4, it was very formulaic, like have this and then this and then this. And then GPT-4o became a little bit less structured. And then 03 was share context, give the task, and then have the output format. 03 Pro, a lot of the standard prompts that OpenAI has published is, you are my sales assistant. Your job is to execute these 6 tasks for me. And when I say to start executing the task, go ahead and do it. So it was a lot more like, I was chatting with my co-founder, Ben. It's becoming a lot more like a true other person, where before I was breaking out tasks and chunking them up and saying, I want you to follow this and then deliver that. Now it's, here's your role, here's the outcome, and these are the tasks that you need to perform to do that outcome. And when I was watching it, for me, because I said, you are my technical resource helping me do this, what I was noticing, it had the 5 tasks that I gave it, but it wasn't rigidly going from task 1 down to task 5. It was jumping between them and deciding on when to do one, so it helps the other tasks.
It's actually thinking. It looks like it's thinking through the way to execute in the best way. It's interesting.
Yes.
So I've been using it completely different. I've just been using it for research. My job is generally a lot of Googling. And now I'm just, all right, I'm in the meeting, someone says something, fire off a deep research while we're thinking about something. Instead of me then Googling and searching for 5-10 minutes, I'll go do that. I'll wait the 15 minutes and get a report with, all right, let's scroll down to the bottom of the recommendations. Here's the top 3, and then I'll go back and read the detail. And see if that aligns with what I understand in the space as it is, or if it's something I've never done before, then I'll have to read through the whole thing. But it's a lot of those research tasks. And the O3 Pro just seems to be, it's less fluff in what comes back. O3 still had a bit of fluff, I think, so it was a bit like padding at the word count. It's the only thing I'm finding annoying is now that I'm on that high plan, I can use the O3 Pro more, so I forget to turn that off in a normal conversation, and that conversation just takes forever.
Yes, that's exactly. I think that's sort of the finding I'm getting is it's a lot more focused. And a tip I've been experimenting with those deep research tasks is so you're doing a deep research, but then telling the model in what context is it doing the deep research task. So it's, are you doing it as on behalf of a sales analyst or a operations manager? Because then how it actually does the deep research changes, because it goes, well, what I'll deliver back to you should be suitable for an operations manager to execute on this deep research task versus a sales analyst. And when I'm saying I mean O3 Pro, how I should do the deep research task should be as if I was a sales analyst.
Okay. I haven't been using sort of those personas in the research. I'm just saying, this is what I'm doing, put as much detail as I can, and then I'll wait for those questions to come back. And most of the time it's yes to everything. Or if I need a bit more nuance, I'll go through and answer them properly. But with the way I've been prompting a bit different to the way they've sort of been suggesting, I generally, just because of the way I've been coding and working with the prompts, my first sentence is I just do like square bracket context, and I just write a couple key terms and then close it off, and that's as much context as I give it to say this is the industry you're in, and then it knows what I do now. So it goes into that level.
Yeah, and I think that shows the power of the fact that you're working with it a lot, definitely. It made me think as well, what you were talking about is I was experimenting with Perplexity Labs during the week, and I really haven't used Perplexity much recently, ever since deep research came out in the other tools, and everyone caught up. When I say everyone, ChatGPT, Gemini caught up. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll go back and see about this Perplexity Labs, because a lot of people were talking about agent, like it's their agent space,
because they can do everything ChatGPT can do now.
Yes,
they've got website builders and all sorts of stuff.
But Perplexity Labs, if I was perfectly honest, and maybe it's because I'm just started to use it, I was a bit like, it didn't impress me much to go. It was good. I won't. If you're already using Perplexity, then do it. And if you're an Optus user, Optus have just done tie-up with Perplexity, so you can get access to Perplexity through your Optus account.
Yeah, it was $300 a month or a year credit for free. I still haven't clicked on the email. It's in there waiting for me to accept it. So,
because I'm not with Optus. If I was with Optus, I would use that to access it. My experience with Perplexity Labs was it did pretty good deep research and some more specific outputs when I gave it a specific task and its role. So, I want you to create some video snippets help me as a film director with some video snippets for IA. And what was pretty cool about it, it did some wireframing and sketching of some of the storyboarding, which was really good. And then it said, this is the scenes and the outputs. And I was like, that's great, but it's no different than if I asked any of the other tools. So for me, Perplexity Labs is, if you're a Perplexity user, yes, upgrade to it. If you get it free with your Optus account, yes. I wouldn't switch over to it. I wouldn't add this in as another subscription. I wouldn't go, great, Perplexity Labs, it's another subscription I need to have. If people are thinking about it and you've already got ChatGPT, or you've already got Claude, or you've already got Gemini, it's not going to do anything better or different than those three models. It's kind of like they're all much of a muchness and doing the same thing. So choose one or the other.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll click on the email at some point and accept the invitation and give it a go, because I am with Optus. But I haven't had the need to leave ChatGPT. Claude, I've been using for some coding stuff. So when we're using the AI coding agents, that's all in Claude at the moment. And I was swapping to GPT 4.1, but that's not as... It's meant to be better on the benchmarks than 3.7, but 3.7 was still doing better. But then since 4.0 came out, I was just been using that and then swapping until I hit token credit limits.
And when you say the coding agents, do you mean... Yeah, what do you mean by that?
So like Cursor or Klein,
Yep.
the actual things that in our coding environment. Mm-hmm. And then I've been using the actual interface of Claude to mock up like HTML samples of things before I get started on certain things, if I just want to get a quick idea, rather than me going into Figma and doing it.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And
So I've been using it really for like the technical programming side only on Claude. I haven't used it for general text.
I've definitely heard that's all of... I know Ben uses Claude Code a lot, and he uses it inside Cursor.
Yep.
A lot, and it's brilliant. But definitely, I think, Claude's the number one, I think, in our world at the moment for using for coding. Okay, do find, the thing that I do find a slightly better with Claude is, if I'm wanting to create some content, it seems to better understand my tone of voice and better represent my tone of voice. So ChatGPT, even with the instructions in the back end, it's just not as good, I've found, for writing. Whereas I find Claude better for collaborating on my writing.
Yep. Should probably try that out and see if Claude can write some articles in the way I write them. That's all. All I've done, every time I have to reset that chat, is go to all my previous articles, collect 5 or 6 of them, paste them in, say, here's some previous articles, write this one in that style. And they'll just start a new seed almost.
Have you tried projects for doing that inside ChatGPT?
I've got projects. I haven't set them up for the articles yet, but I've set them up for different things that I'm doing. Or when I'm trying to do like an avatar image generator, here's a general prompt for the project, and then I just start a chat for each character.
Okay, because yesterday I was working with a startup and helping them around their brand strategy and tone of voice and writing content. And projects can be really good for that, because you add in all your best articles as you would have used them before, but then the instructions in terms of how it uses the articles, and then the writing, and then every chat in there always refers those same 5, because if you're pasting in the 5 each time in a chat, I do it in project, because then the 5 just sit there, and then every chat you open up can refer to it, and then the instructions inside that further refine it. And it worked really well for this startup, because and what was interesting, what they did in this session was, when we worked out their tone of voice was needed to be subtly different for different channels. So email versus TikTok versus LinkedIn versus Instagram versus Facebook. There was a project for each channel, but they used the core, and in one project, they had the tone of voice document in each channel, but then in the instructions, they edited it slightly to say, you're writing for LinkedIn.
Yep.
And then that was the LinkedIn project.
Rewriting that in every single prompt when you're saying, all right, write me now a TikTok post, write me a LinkedIn post.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to use that more. The problem I think I found is that I don't do all of the stuff for like the marketing or all of the bits and pieces in the business. I support other people, but the Teams plan doesn't let you share projects or share context around, which is a real pain. Like, idea is, let me start a chat and then hand the chat over to someone else, and now you run with that chat. But you can't do that.
Yeah, it's really, and that's exactly what a little bit of a roadblock we hit yesterday, because the one of the co-founders said, look, I've signed up all of my team, and they had some offshoring team in the Philippines.
Yep.
and her view was, great, I want to share this project. And unfortunately, all she could do was share a chat, and then it would continue. In saying that, as we know, maybe give it a month and hopefully...
Oh, maybe. Or there could be an announcement after this podcast is released and they've done it. We don't know.
Yeah. That's another... This other thing that came up, I'd love to get your thoughts because you'll know this much better than me, is that I was having a conversation about last week or 2 weeks ago about, as always, the pace of change and the pace of releases. And what this person had done was started to track the frequency of releases, and then had done research on the hockey stick in terms of releases from each of the models and how much faster they're going. And then Anthropic put out how they are now, obviously they're using tools to refine Claude.
The models. Yep.
And they're just saying that this is going to ramp up the releases even faster because they're no longer having to just have the humans to write the code and wait for releases and do that. Is that there's this direct correlation between how much the big players are using the tools on themselves.
Was an internal tool that they were using to build their own code base, and they release it, but they're using that themselves and they're using it to improve itself. So once you get it to a point, it starts working on its own. Which is amazing. And then, the background agents, I think, will be the big game changer that they've released. So you can issue a task and not have to have it sit on your computer and take up the time. Because a lot of time when you're doing it, it's you write a command, tell it to do something, and then you sit there and wait for 10 minutes while it's making changes to the code and doing everything. But you can't do another thing at the same time on the one computer. So having those background ones firing off, it's going to be amazing. Yeah, the pace of change was already hard to keep up with. I don't know what we're going to be doing in the next 6 months. It's going to be a struggle.
I'd love to fast forward and see what our conversation is in December around that time.
It's a real struggle to keep up. A lot of the news online is very repetitive though. So in my week when I'm listening to these different YouTube videos and podcasts, a lot of them cover the same topics, but they have slightly differing opinions, which is useful. But then there's a lot of like those AI generated channels where it's just a robot voice with some background picture just reading an article. And those ones are terrible. But I think you're going to get a lot more of that, which is the problem.
Well, do you know what I've been absolutely loving? And I'm following the Yeti YouTube channel. It's a Yeti influencer, and he puts videos out. They're so funny, so funny. It's all done in VO3.
Yep, I think I saw the first one it posted, and that was it. But I've seen a lot of them on TikTok. It's like a day in the life in ancient Rome, or wherever it may be.
Yeah, well, there's one. So the Yeti one is amazing because he gets like 500,000 to 1 million to 2 million views, and he's able to push them out so fast, and that's nuts. On the flip side is from a education perspective, what I thought was so cool was it's in that vlog style and, hey guys, welcome to the channel. That stuff is sort of somewhat the same across all of them, but applied in different environments. I saw a really cool one, which I showed my daughter, was the Trojan horse. So it was one of the soldiers vlogging about the war and saying, did you see this one?
Yeah, it's like, we got this cool gift. They left us the horse.
But it was done on the other side. It was done on the invaders. And they're like,
I didn't see that one.
We're struggling. We just can't get in, guys. And he's sitting there by the campfire and he's chatting with his soldiers saying, we just don't know how to crack this egg or crack this nut. And then the next day it's like, I've got an idea what we're going to do. We're going to build this. And then it shows him building it. And he's like, here it is behind us. And then it shows him vlogging from inside the horse going, we're in the horse, guys. I'm going to have to be quiet now because I think they're taking us in through the gates. But what was awesome about it was it took my daughter through how that worked, like that battle, which it was so interesting.
That's an engaging way to learn then, because it's almost turning it into like a movie, and based on history, which there's movies about that, but it's different when it's like that, and it's a very short thing, not a 3-hour movie that kids can't watch normally. Yeah, the amount of violence they have. Yeah.
And there's another really good one where this koala is going around interviewing other Australian animals about how they mess up Australians' lives. So like the koala interviews a funnel web spider and goes, and they've got very thick, quite comical Australian accents, but the funnel web saying, and it's awesome because I wade in their shoes, or when they come down to the laundry at night or during the day, I rear up and run at them, and it absolutely scares scares the living daylights out of them, and then the koala's like laughing and having a back and forth, and then the next part of the koala's vlog, it's interviewing a magpie.
Yep.
So, and then it's a cockatoo saying, if they don't feed me, I start to rip up their wooden decks. And what's amazing is how quickly they're putting out that content, but it's actually, I personally am finding it pretty entertaining. So with the almighty algorithm on YouTube, it's starting to surface all those for me.
30 seconds to a minute to get one of the those 8-second video clips. I did it in a meeting yesterday with one of our clients, just to show him what was possible. And then I signed up on the fly to the Google One subscription so I could get the AI credits. And I generated, he runs a franchise cleaning company. And I told it, all right, 2 girls in their 20s inside a kitchen. There's dishes on the bench. One's wiping the bench top. One is putting the dishes away. And then they're wearing a purple polo top with black pants, and he's got his logo on it. And when I showed him the video, he's like, how did you get our logo there? Like, he was amazed at what it did. There was a third hand that randomly appeared out of nowhere, or the scene just randomly cut. But if that's part of an ad and you just see like 4 seconds out of that 8-second clip, you wouldn't know it was not real.
Yep. Yeah, I think one thing I'm seeing some of our clients do, which is pretty creative, is taking that and they're converting their testimonials into videos. Mm-hmm. They get permission. So an important thing that they're doing here is that the person does a text testimonial and they say, could we put this together in a bit of a show reel? We'll put in a fictional character for you. I think most of the time their clients are like, oh yeah, that's fine, because they get a good laugh out of seeing the testimonials. But what they do now is when they do direct messaging, instead of an email, they say, do you want to hear what our clients, the value they get? And they say it's great because people are actually watching them because they're not having to read. Like testimonials are short anyway, but it's opening up a new avenue. People are watching videos of the testimonials.
Now, you could probably just get the still from their LinkedIn profile and get it animated.
Yeah.
Hagen style, and make it talk. I've even thought about, I've signed up to Hagen 2 weeks ago and I still haven't sat down to record my 5-minute clip to see if I can just get the team to make snippets. Like I can just talk to it, or I can generate from a script that I've written and see if we can just get more content out and just test things in ads, especially to see what works. It's a quicker way to iterate than having to sit down and record them.
Yeah. Yeah,
but I haven't gotten around to doing it yet.
Well, that's the battle. It's like, where do I, because it's like, this could save me time. Yeah. But where's the time to do it to then start saving me the time?
And which one do I focus on first to try and get the more benefit from? I'll do it and I'm like, all right, anytime you see a specific color light in the background there in that corner, that's going to be an AI generated one. I'm just got to figure out what the color is. So then I can actually like benchmark on that when I'm looking at the ads as well.
Well, I'm thinking, I wonder if... you know that really good, it's that Monday wrap up that you do on the tools. Would you do it for that?
Oh yeah, that could be completely Hagen. Yeah, that could be completely Hagen. Well, I think I'd probably lose the benefit of doing it though if I did it that way, because me sitting there talking and giving my insights on what I remember helps me remember those things better. So I'll lose that if I don't do that, because right now I can't remember anything I've seen this week already. But on Monday when I'm sitting down reading it and then I get those key points come back, I remember the content.
Yeah, that's a good insight.
So I might make 2 versions of it.
Where's the value? Because you're getting the value from actually the conversation with the camera. Yeah. So you don't want to lose that. Yeah,
because then that's more perspective that I'm having or I'm getting, and then I'm sharing that with the team rather than here's just the video. So all those videos that I watch, the summaries go into teams as a chat into a specific channel for everyone. I don't think anyone reads them because there's just too much content again. So that short video makes enough difference.
Yeah. And well, wouldn't mind talking about that point around too much content, a sort of pattern that I'm seeing with some of the users we're working with around ChatGPT.
Yep.
And what they're finding is there's that phase where it's good, it produces stuff so fast, but they're not prompting or not asking for the output in a digestible amount. And I see this really interesting pattern where people are almost, they like marvel at how quickly stuff's being created on the screen. And I watch them and I see it produced now, like, isn't this great? But then they're not reading it.
Yeah, they're not actually using what's getting created.
They're not using that. I love how you said that. They're not using what's getting created. And that is, I think that's a big part of how we as humans, we need to think about how we're working with the tools. So what I've been doing now is really working with the AI tools to ask it to produce outputs in a way that I can take action on it.
Mm-hmm.
So either give me the first step and let's talk through that first step, especially when I'm collaborating with a tool. So when I've got an idea, what used to happen is I'd have an idea for a new product that we might develop at Friday, and then I'll jump straight to, here's my core idea, give me the product specifications, give me the business plan, give me the marketing plan and the strategy in step by step. So all the outputs are really good, but it was just producing all of it. And then I go, oh, cool, it's all there. And I then have to really take my time to go through the details. So now what I say is I really think a lot more about what's the ultimate outcome or goal I'm trying to achieve. And then I'm asking my collaborative partner, ChatGPT, to do that first step so I can critique and review it. And then I work on the next step. And for me, it's really chunking down the outputs. And it's actually slowing me down a bit in a good way, but the outputs are still being produced faster, but they're higher quality because I can review them.
Yeah, and you're spending time reviewing and understanding the context, where if you're doing it from scratch, you'd probably spend a lot more time on the blank page syndrome, where it's, how do I start? What do I start with? When you've got something there, I find it's much faster to iterate it and get it to where you want it rather than starting from scratch. That's where like the DevReady AI system does. It gives you a draft. Now you can work on it really fast rather than thinking from scratch, how do you do everything?
Yeah.
So in the way I'm using it, it's more, I need to understand this, or how do I do this versus this? Go and find me the GitHub projects. How do I integrate it? Give me an overview on these things. And then I come back, and then a good way would be, all right, they turn into flashcards or a small presentation instead of reading for 20, 25 minutes. Because reports are huge. I'll get 23-page reports out of ChatGPT.
Yeah. They're big.
Yeah, but that would take me hours of Googling to try and form the same opinion. Where I've got an opinion semi-formed on the direction I think something should take. I'm 90% of the way there. But then I need that to just be the person that I'm bouncing the idea off and confirming what I'm thinking. That's how I'm using it. And then even inside our business, Andrew, my business partner, he's doing the same thing. So now I've set up Visual Studio Code on his computer with the Klein bot. And a new lead comes in, someone says something, and he's like, all right, he'll ask the code base, he'll ask the agent about the code base, and he'll talk to him about what's in there, what's wrong, what's not done right. And I've given him a template for doing a review on the code. So he doesn't have to ask me that anymore. So I'm not getting brought in on certain things. So he's got that assistant now.
Yeah. I like that. You're cloning your expertise.
Yes, it's like, all right, that can do the same thing I'm doing. So you just go and do that. And these are the prompts I've been using to do that work.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Giving everyone more capability. As long as you have half an idea about the thing you're doing, you'll be able to form an opinion on it. When you have no idea completely, that's when you have trouble.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. What you just said there is another, over the last month, something I've been focusing on and having conversations with a lot of our clients. You mentioned you have the idea first.
Yep.
Super important. And a sort of a bit of a bugbear of mine now is we do a lot of training workshops, and I always ask at the beginning of the workshop, because I get really curious, on a scale of 1 to 5, where are you in terms of using AI? So 1 being pretty much not using it at all, 5 being every day. The good thing is over the last, say, 2 years of doing that type of training is that the average scores are going up.
Well, that's a good thing.
But now what I'm noticing is there's guaranteed to be 1 or 2 people in that session who are saying, I'm in N8N and I'm automating stuff and building. And I'm like, oh, cool, because I want to learn, because that's great. Like we do use N8N and make a little bit. But then when I ask them about, well, what are your big ideas and what are the big problems that you're solving for that you're going into N8N to deliver? Oh, what do you mean? I'm just going in and automating workflows. I'm like, but why? What is the problem that you're taking in there? What's the idea? And there's a big gap there. And it's kind of cool. Like I'm 100% for experimenting. But you'll get so much more value if you think through upfront, what's the idea that I have, or what's the problem I want to solve? Get clear on that, because otherwise you'll get lost with the tool and you'll get taken off on all these pathways. Yep. And then 3 hours later into an epic N8N session, you're like, what was I doing again? And I'm looking at this screen. I don't even know what I've created. Like, why does this thing exist?
Yeah, and that's what we would call scope creep.
Yes.
Unless you've got a
Yes.
plan and you know what you're trying to achieve, you're not going to get there. You're just going to be going sideways and doing all different things.
Yeah.
And if people have never gone into the process of trying to write code or thinking in that step-by-step logical analytical way, you'll always deviate because you have to do something, then you have to go and solve a problem to get it back to where it is. And if you're not in that space, you'll just keep going, solving problem after problem after problem and coming back. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that little clip from Malcolm in the Middle with Hal, the father. So Lois asked him to fix a light bulb. So he goes and gets the light bulb out of the drawer. Then the drawer starts creaking. And then he goes to get the screwdriver to fix the drawer. But then something's wrong he has to get a new screwdriver. And then the car doesn't start. So he's fixing the car by the end of the clip. And she's like, I thought you were fixing the light bulb. He's like, what the hell do you think I'm doing? It's a perfect explanation of what happens if you don't follow the process and just try and solve problems as they come up.
Yes, absolutely. And also focus. Like we run into that problem every day at Fryer, keeping focused because there's so much cool stuff. And we have to say, well, what is the thing we're doing right now? And, oh, there's that thing over there we could do. Don't chase it yet. Deliver something really, really well or follow and even complete something. I'm also noticing a bit of pattern where people are, because these tools are fast and they give you an answer really quickly, they're not actually fully completing the task as if they would do it normally as a human. And because if we had a task that we had to work through, we had to get the output, we'd go through a process and we'd close it off. But because the first draft and answer comes out, people are not, they're sort of leaving. I ask people to show me in their chats with ChatGPT and they take me through their conversation history. And there are the more recent chats, more and more of them are unfinished. Okay. And by unfinished, I don't mean that there's this specific conclusion, but I'd say, oh, what were you doing there? And they say, oh, I was trying to do this. Oh, did you end up doing it? Oh, no, actually, I end up going to do something else. Well, was that task important? Yeah, I think it was. Well, let's find out what the task is, use the tool to get you all the way through or the point where you want to get to and start to get that sense of completion, because then you use that understanding and experience in your next conversations about how does it help you go all the way through and complete a task or get to the outcome that you wanted to get to.
Yeah. And not being able to deliver on those tasks or complete them. They're either going to be lingering there or things will be done like half-assed and nothing will work the way you expect it to.
Yep. And I also see this pattern. People start to feel like they're stuck on the treadmill again because in the back of their brain, they've started all these things, but they haven't reached a specific point of closure. So their brain is still semi-holding on to some of those tasks.
Yeah, there's a lot of threads that they're trying to manage.
Yes, and they feel even busier. And like, okay, let's close out some things because in their brain, they've actually then, if they reach that point, that task is now completed. A different part of their brain's processing it. Yep. And then it feels less overwhelming up in here.
And that may be, we sort of need to change the way we're sort of doing things. Is like, all right, if you're going to start a chat, I've just thought about this now, is open up a Trello board and just put a ticket or a new card there saying what you're trying to do. And if you finish it, just move it out of the way. Then you know it's done and you can ignore the chat because ChatGPT doesn't have a Kanban board or a task list. It's just a chat and it's really terribly structured. It trying to find things or organize it is shit. So you need another system to help you manage that flow, I think. So
I really like that. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
Came up with it now as you were talking about it.
Yes.
Because I've got a lot of chats where I'm doing research and they're long-winded things where the team has to do stuff in between, but I don't know what I'm doing on 6 things at once. That's the other thing. It's like multitasking at the next level at the moment.
Yep.
Just going back to sort of, going back to sort of that inner end thing. There was that repository that was posted online that I shared. We had 4,000 workflows that you could just copy and paste and get the workflows built for you. So that's going to save everyone a shitload of time, but there's no categorization of what they are. It's really just lucky dip almost to try and find one that works at the moment until someone makes a vibe coded app where they quickly just build a UI to search them. Yeah,
so I think that was that. You posted that on LinkedIn, didn't you?
Yeah, the other day.
So yeah, I got a lot of value out of that. So if you're on the live stream or listening to the podcast, check out that post from Anthony because don't think you need to reinvent the wheel. There's probably there's so the stuff that's in there.
There's so many that are probably like useless, because it's just community scraped and found everything it could online and from anywhere. But there were some there that were quite complex. I posted one in the video. Remember, there was a lot of like sticky notes and organized AI stuff on there. But again, a lot of those have been built. Most of them are, all right, here's the Jarvis that runs your business or runs everything, but do you actually need that? What's it doing besides having a cool demo or a video for LinkedIn? Yeah.
Yep.
And I didn't make you comment.
Yeah, I was so thankful for that. I know we talked about that last time. I can't stand that. It's like, here's a vomit on a page of an automation I've put in N8N. Comment sales to get this. And then you don't hear back from the person.
It's just engaging in their posts and making more people see it.
Yeah, exactly. And building their follow account, which is just not the right, that just goes against my values. That's not the right way I go about it. Another thing I wanted to share as well over the last month, and I think it has been around for maybe a fraction longer than a month, is Anthropic's AI fluency course.
Okay,
have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's probably one of the best courses out there. So first of all, I love it because it's free. The way that they talk through, I even like how they talk about fluency now, and I'm seeing that term being used more and more. If we think about the workforce, is how do you become fluent in AI?
Yep.
Not how do you write good prompts. I think that's definitely where we've moved from. But this training I would highly recommend for people to do. You can do it for free. The framework, the 4Ds framework, as well as they clearly talk about the difference between automation, augmentation, and agency in a really clear way. And they step through, I think if I was to sum up the value of this course for your average user, is it really helps you think about how you can use AI in a better way and how it might help you. Because I know a lot of people I'm using it to write emails, doing it for this and this, and then they sort of stop there. But if you're in that boat where you just started using it and you're just dropping emails in and making them more polite or more concise, the AI fluency course is very approachable and it's really simple and nicely delivered.
Well, and that'll be a good resource because a lot of people wouldn't even know where to begin with using it. And it's just, open ChatGPT and ask it to write a blog post. And that's literally what they'd write.
Yeah.
So knowing how to communicate with it and being fluent in conversing with it will make a big difference.
Yes.
It'll be like if you knew how to Google properly before.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree. And that's what I'm encouraging more and more people to do now is, and I think we talked about that last time, is that if you're getting started, you don't need to sign up and have a subscription for 10,000 tools. You can be one and start to be, and I like that phrase, I'm using it, is how do you become fluent in one?
Yep.
Or the other thing that I talk to executives about and even board members is if you want to know where to get started, ask ChatGPT to interview you and say to it, ask me 5 or 6 questions about me and my role and my business. And then as a result of those questions, suggest 3 ways that AI could be used in my business or my business unit or my team. If there's nothing else that you do, that can be the first step to help to understand where it might start being used in your business, because I guarantee you it can be. There will be ways that you can use it for your benefit.
Yeah. And then if you are already using it, you can ask it what it already knows about you, and then you can correct what it's got in its memory as a profile. I remember I wrote a article, I was doing a series of articles called Movie Business, where it's things you can learn from business from movies. And I wrote one about Gladiator. And it thinks I'm the master and commander of Aerion Technologies, because I wrote at the first sentence, I'm Anthony Sapundas, master and commander of Aerion, the whole thing that he says.
I love that.
So I just completely got that wrong, but it made me laugh when I saw it.
Yep. I think one of my, one of the radio networks we're working with at the moment, and one of their head of sales there, very Aussie guy, and ChatGPT refers to him as champ now. And he goes, I needed to stop doing that. It's when I'm in like sales meetings now and I bring up ChatGPT, it's like, hey, champ. Because I think early on, similar to your master and commander, is that it had picked up that that way of
mentioned
talking.
it that way. Interesting. Yeah, but then he can correct that now. So if you ask it, what does it know about me, he can do that. I know a couple of weeks ago we both did the show me what a picture of chatting with me looks like. And it was both,
Yours was
both
way
of them
better.
were very scary.
Way better. Yes.
At the first one. But when I moved it to my personal profile instead of the Aaron one, it gave me like that swirling blue with a little ball in the middle and just ideas bouncing into it, similar to your one.
Oh, okay.
So I swapped between the
Yes.
Aaron one, my business, and the profile because I've been using the personal one a lot longer.
Good point. I
So
think that's
taken
what my
differently.
problem was. Yeah, that.
But then
mine
even the
was,
models came up with different images.
Yeah.
But that was
It's funny.
interesting to see.
The other thing, I had a really fun experiment. I was doing that this morning. I was at a networking meeting. My kids love this one. And this can be a fun experiment for anyone who's might be a long-time user of ChatGPT or hasn't used it at all. I did this experiment with someone at the networking meeting this morning, and they've never used ChatGPT. And they're like, I need to start using it. So the experiment was... we just used it in ChatGPT 4.0, and then I selected the tool, create an image.
Yep.
I asked them to send me a picture of their dog and said, please turn this into a human.
Yeah, I've seen
And
those.
what was amazing about it was he was telling me, he said, my dog, they've got a Staffy, really beautiful dog. The Staffy was in its bed looking a bit sheepish. And he said, my dog had just got in trouble because it had run outside. What ChatGPT did was it kept all of the image the same. So there was the dog bowl, and then the person was even still on the dog bed, but they had their arms folded and they looked like they were in trouble in a suit with a tie. It was brilliant, brilliant. But for me, the takeaway there was this person's like, that's so much fun. And I said, here, you sign up, start playing with things like that.
Yep.
And I guarantee you're going to start to think about what could be possible in your business. So it's okay to have fun and play with the tool,
Of course.
if that gets you to use it.
Yeah, I get my my son's pictures and my son's pictures more and turn them into characters. So take a photo of the page of what he's drawing and then say turn it into a character.
Mm-hmm.
And
That
then
is
he
awesome.
laughs what comes back. He's like, oh, that's not what I drew. But it's like, all right, that's what I thought you drew. And then you got to tell it how to make it what you want.
Yep. And that's another thing with kids as well is vibe coding with your kids. If you get a chance to do that, it's nuts. And there's
Haven't done
even,
that
I've
yet.
noticed a few vibe coding school holiday camps for kids.
Okay.
If there's a way that you want your kids to learn about the tools,
That's the
vibe
best
coding's
way.
great because of their ability to create, which takes, say from just a ChatGPT conversation into like a Lovable.
Yep.
I've watched my son and daughter do it, and the way they're interacting with the tools is incredible, and how creative they are, but their ability to translate them to an output is
Yep.
awesome as well.
Oh, I'm gonna have to do that. I was planning on teaching my kids to code, and I was going to do my daughter teach her a code a couple of years ago, but I never ran out of time to try and do it. And I was going to do it as like a series on YouTube and show people how you do it. That's completely out the window now. But I got to sit down and just get them to get an idea, and then just make something with them. That'll be not a problem.
Yeah, I love that. And that would be my number one recommendation for parents who want to do that with their kids is before you jump into a Lovable, get your son or daughter to talk about an idea they have.
Yep.
Get them to write it down or draw it, because that's the gold. That's the gold. So because you want them to feel like the assistant is an extension of them to help them bring an idea to life, but their idea is the core thing. So if they're able to articulate it, then they can start to interact with the tool, because to your point at the beginning of the conversation is that they will then be able to direct the tool if it's producing stuff that isn't central to their idea. And that's what I found with my kids. Like, no, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I imagined. And to your point, well, what do you need to give feedback on so that it starts to get more about what you wanted
And they
to
start
produce?
thinking analytically and a lot clearer in their explanation. So it's probably a really good way to get around doing that.
Yep.
Just before we wrap up, any other key things or news that you've got from your end about AI that you want to just bring up to anyone?
I think it's a bit of a the scary side of it, but I do think there's a need to have a healthy drive to why this is important. I've been talking to my dad for ages about AI, and then 3 weeks ago there was an opinion piece in the AFR talking about the impact of AI on the economy, And there's been similar pieces where the new CEO or the CEO of Amazon is talking about impacts of unemployment.
Yep.
What got my dad really, not fearful, but blew his mind was, there are predictions in the next 5 years we could be looking at 20% unemployment.
Yep.
If we don't really understand, become fluent in the tools. So that was another thing where it isn't something we can sit on the sideline for. And I hear people saying, I'm going to wait for this AI thing to die down and see if it settles. I know I've drunk the Kool-Aid. I'm big in the AI space. And
Yep.
I think in the next 3 to 4 years, we will start seeing 8, 10, 12, 14% unemployment in developed economies. So if you want to be on the other side of it, you need to get fluent. So do the Anthropic course, start playing with the tools.
It's coming. I don't know what number it's going to get to, but it's going to be very interesting how things change. It's going to be hard for the governments to legislate anything against it, I think, because of the pace of change, with how slow they are to do anything. And it's not just, initially everyone was saying, if you don't use AI, you're going to be out of a job. Everyone is going to have AI as part of their job. You're not going to have a choice whether you use it or not. That's the thing. It's going to be, some people will get automated out of what they do. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all is positioned. I think where the interesting part is, it's not just using the tool, but like you said, getting fluent in it. But it's also understanding, if it stops today and there's no more work done in any AI research, it is still the most transformative piece of technology we have. It doesn't matter about the internet or anything. This is, I think, more transformative than that, based on what I've been seeing. And then, I think Sam Altman even mentioned something like that in an interview he did the other day.
Yeah.
So even if it completely stops today, the amount of value that it will give us is not going to stop just because they've stopped doing the research. It's just going to get better and better and better.
Exactly. It'll take, I think some people are saying it would take at least a decade for us to be able to get the value out of the current crop of tools if all development stopped.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, every country's fighting to be on top of it and not be left behind. One of them will probably, the really interesting things that I've seen along that was, there's a podcast series on YouTube called AI Engineer, and they have different companies that are at the cutting edge or the forefront of AI doing things. And one person was saying, what we're doing now is we're adding AI into existing products. So instead of doing that, try and just get the AI to make the UIs as the person's using the product. So it's generative as you do it, rather than having a prescribed thing. So then as the AIs get better, your product's getting better because it's now got more capability. And his was the opinion, the compute time is cheap in comparison for the AI to generate a screen, then you have to build a set flow and load data in the right way. So that was an interesting take on how things may change in the future.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's as your customers use your product, it learns from how they use it and builds the features that they need. It makes
the feature that they ask for as they ask for it.
Yep. That's nuts.
It's interesting that concept, which is, and then you're not investing in the engineering time to build the product. You're building the capability to allow OpenAI's advancements to improve your product. So your product is evolving.
Yeah,
it's going to take me a while to get my head around that one, to think about how to use it properly.
But I saw a post and an article written by a VC fund on a similar topic, was saying that they were listening into a pitch from this, obviously a startup looking for funding. During the pitch, as the VC members were asking stuff about, could the product do this? One of the team members had their laptop open and they were building the feature in that meeting. They said, it would need to do this for us to put our money. Great. There it is. It pop up on the site. Yes, but for us to invest, we need this. There it is. And wow. Okay.
Yep.
Where do we sign? Here's our money. We're going to fund this.
The rate of progress and iteration is so fast. It's something that everyone has to keep up with. So for everyone listening, just do your best trying to keep up and play with the tools and experiment. And like I said, become fluent in one thing at least, so you can just do that well. And maybe that is just Claude or ChatGPT, and understand how to use that to do anything, whether it is responding to emails so you can give it a bullet point that it turns into a full thing for you, or it's marketing or advertising or proposals or whatever it may be.
or it's taking a picture of your pet and asking ChatGPT to turn it into a human.
Yeah, or starting to try and create a storybooks from your kids' drawings, turn them into characters. There's a lot of fun you can have with it, and it's never ending. If anyone wants to reach out, Gareth, and find out more about how Fryer can help them bring their AI strategy in line, how can they do that?
Jump onto our website, fryer.ai, or LinkedIn. We put a lot of content up on LinkedIn, similar things like this, things that can help you get started.
Awesome. And once again, we'll drop all that into the show notes. And thanks for your time again. And till next month. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
Bye.